This is the Shaka Smart Radio Show, presented by the Virginia Lottery. Greg is now joined live with Coach Smart, so let's head back down to the home team grill for more.
Coach Shaka Smart is in the house.
Yes, he is. It's great to have so many Ram fans here. How about a big round of applause for Shaka Smart? Hi, Coach.
How's it going?
Great. Outstanding way to start Atlantic 10 play last night. Your thoughts on the win over Dayton?
I thought it was a great game. I thought Dayton really played well and came in with a terrific plan, but our guys played with great energy for 40 minutes and, kept coming at them. I thought our style of play really wore the game, wore the Flyers down over the course of the game. And then, at the end, we made some big plays, and we were able to come away with a 12-point win.
It looked like they were trying to, for lack of a better phrase, run with you in the first half, which I can't imagine anyone would ever want to do.
Well, everyone comes to college wanting to play the way that we play, but very few teams do. So, as a player, a lot of guys relish the opportunity to play in a style or a game that's going to be up and down, it's going to be fast-paced, it's going to be exciting. But, it's one thing to want to play that way, and it's another thing to go out and do it and do it well.
And then also, I guess we're under the impression that they had seen a style of havoc against Alabama, but as anyone knows, nobody really plays the way you do. And I know Kevin Dillard said how we saw that against Alabama, and that was some motivation for you guys.
Yeah, we use that with our guys. There's a lot of times where people like to compare us to other teams. They say, well, we've seen the press against this team or that team, so we're ready for VCU. And that motivates the Briante Webers and the Darius Theases of the world. We feel like we have a style that's unique and that people are not used to, until they've played us. And the exciting thing for this year is we played 31 regular season games against 30 different teams. So nobody will see us more than once other than, what's that school called across the street?
I'm not allowed to say that at all. This is a VCU show.
I'm with you, Greg.
Travion Graham had a spectacular night, 24 points. Was that in the game plan to get him touches early and try to get him going early? Did you see matchups?
It's always in the game plan, Greg. He's our best scorer. He's our best player. We want to get him the ball in situations where he can score. I take that back. He's our second most important player. Our most important one's over there that I brought with me, Darius Theus. But Trey just offensively, in terms of putting the ball in the basket, is our best guy, and we want to get him the ball and let him attack. And we like the matchup that we had last night, as we do most times with Trey. And you know what he's doing really, really well? He's always been able to get to the foul line, but now he's making free throws at a high percentage.
The whole team is. You made 9 of 10 against Lehigh. You had a good free throw shooting game last night as well. Certainly that's been an area of improvement.
It's important. Free throws are going to win you close games, and we know being in this conference that there's going to be a lot of close games and what we call possession games where, 1 or 2 free throws make a huge difference. So I give the guys a lot of credit. They've spent a lot of extra time in the Siegel Center, in Franklin Street Gym, working on their shooting, working on their free throw shooting, and, starting to pay off.
Faced a little bit of adversity in the first half when both Darius and Javante got hit with fouls and had to go to the bench. So Go through your process now, what you're thinking with your 2 best players on the bench.
It's tough. Darius is our leader, and he sets everything up for us. And without him out there, we just don't have the same organization. We don't have the same cohesiveness or the same communication on defense. So, when he went out of the game with 2 fouls, we just had to plug along there without him. Briante did a nice job subbing in for him, as he's done earlier this year. Then without Javante, there's no real sub to put in for him that's going to do everything that he does. But I thought DJ and Jared Guest came in, gave us good contributions. And then for a while there, Greg, we played with all guards, which can be tough on the rebounding end of things, but it also creates matchup problems for the other teams.
Well, they did win the rebounding battle, but it didn't matter because they didn't have a lot of second chance points, which was critical, and they turned it over, which nullified the rebounding margins.
Exactly. Well, we knew it was going to be a game that you had to grit out some possessions, and Dayton played extremely hard. They battled. They put a lot into that game. they had billed this week as statement week for their program because they're playing against 2 ranked teams, and us and Butler. So they really wanted to make a statement coming into the Siegel Center and finding a way to win. But our mentality was not on us. You don't come in and make a statement on us. And, Darius did a great job setting the tone for our guys.
No question about it. Just looking at some of the other stats, Troy Daniels had another really good night and had a sequence there where Troy got as hot maybe as I've ever seen him after a loose ball. He'd made a 3. And I don't see Troy get, that fired up, but he was motivated last night.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. Troy's from a house on top of a hill in Roanoke, Virginia. He comes from
Is there bells tolling? And
he comes from a very good background where he's probably never been in a fight in his life. So, but I like that he showed a little bit of toughness. And the Dayton guys were feisty. The kid Dillard, the guy said, took some cheap shots during the game, and maybe put his elbows in his hands and places on them that he shouldn't have, and they don't like that. So when he dove on top of Troy, he responded.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that they thought. I mean, it's funny to say now how loud that they thought that maybe they could intimidate or outmuscle you.
If you think about it on paper, we're a school coming from a smaller league. They wanted to welcome us to the league, but our mentality was the exact opposite. We're going to introduce ourselves to you, Dayton. And, that's what we wanted to do.
No question about it. Well said. The atmosphere in the building last night, I said there's been so many great moments in the Siegel Center. You've been part of many. Last night was the latest.
Yeah, I thought that was as good of an atmosphere as we've had maybe since I've been here. I mean, there's been some terrific games. I look back at Oklahoma, my first year, the Richmond game, anytime they come into town. Or come into Siegel Center, the Old Dominion games at home. But this one last night was right up there, and particularly for a game that's very, very early in conference play, I thought that, our administrative folks did a phenomenal job planning and executing a great event with the Stripe to Stew, with all the T-shirts. It looked terrific in person. It looked terrific on the tape when I watched the TV copy. So the other thing is, just from the ratings, more people watch the game, from home than any other program at that time. And I think that shows, the interest level in our program.
There's no question about it. Obviously, the winning streak continues, but let's go back to Saturday if we can, because you got an important non-conference win against Lehigh, and it was your first close game in a while. Was that critical to play a close, tight game?
It was. I mean, we sat here last week, Greg, and we talked about how challenging that game was going to be, and, played out that way. And, to be honest with you, they were tougher to play against in the 25 minutes after C.J. McCollum got hurt than they were in the 15 minutes while he was playing. I mean, obviously, he's a phenomenal player, and we wish him a speedy recovery, and I think the guy's going to be great in the NBA. But Darius and company did a terrific job on him, and he was 0 for 5 from the field. But when he went out, they had 3 or 4 guys that stepped up and really came at us. Their point guard, Mackie McKnight, was terrific, and their 2 big guys did a great job. So we had our hands full with Lehigh, but our guys really responded in the end, got some big defensive stops, as you mentioned, made some key free throws. That was a game that was important for us because we had not played in a close game since the Bahamas, and that's been about a month and a half.
Yeah, it served you well last night, and it seems like every night you're shutting down one of their main scorers. Like last night, Dillard got his, but V. Sanford, who I think had averaged 14 or 15 a game, was almost a non-factor until the very, very end. And then you mentioned McCollum, who had no points from the field before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we want to give their best players a hard time. I mean, that's what we talk about in scouting. And even though Dillard had 17 points, he also had 7 turnovers and only 1 assist. So, it was not one of his better games, and he certainly at times got frustrated. So that's what we want to do to the opposing players, especially their better players. Our guys have done a good job locking in on the scouting report and understanding what we need to take away from the other team.
Great stuff. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we